Hello my fibre friends, welcome to my Crochet Nook. I'm Linda and today is the first tutorial for the Ashton Shawlette Simpson TurnPike knit along. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? So I hope you watched our live on the 28th of August. And this is the first tutorial, so I am going to be showing you how to cast on and how to read how the pattern to go further with the pattern. I'll talk to you a little bit about the stitches and everything, and the tutorials will then follow on after each live, so you'll get a live, a tutorial, a live, a tutorial. Also, if you have any questions about stitches and you're unsure, please don't hesitate to email us, and either Gina or myself will do a quick tutorial explaining what people are having difficulty with. I'll go through everything what you will need as well, and for example, you're going to need obviously yarn, the pattern, and I would recommend reading the pattern and highlighting as well. But we'll go through that, you know, everything we'll have gone through all of that in the introduction to the cowl. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you to overhead and let's make a start on starting our Ashton Shawlette. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through the things that you're going to need. You're going to need some knitting stitch markers, a tape measure, point protectors. This will help prevent your stitches from falling off your needles. I've got my Yuki beads, seed beads, 6, and I've got a crochet hook which will go through the hole in the bead. I've got some tapestry needles, a couple of tapestry needles for sewing in your ends at the end, a pair of scissors, a 4mm circular needle, and this is 80 centimeters, which I find is plenty, and of course your yarn. And for me, I am using the twister from Hobie, which is 55% cotton, 45% acrylic, and it is 437 yards. So I've got 2 of these, which will be absolutely plenty. It is a number 2 fine, and I've taken the little, it does have a little tab on for the easy centre pull. So that's that. So the first thing we're going to work on is we're going to cast on, and we're going to make a start on the first chart number 1. So let's make a start, shall we? So I'll just put all these to one side because I don't need them yet. I need my stitch markers. I know I want a couple of stitch markers just to begin with, so keep them out. Don't need my needles, and I don't need my scissors, and I'm just going to pop them to one side because I'm going to work through chart 1. So here we go. Let's make a start, shall we? I've just put the light on. That's better, isn't it? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I would recommend you read through your pattern from start to finish. Read it, highlight. As you can see, I've highlighted mine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cast on 5 stitches, and then we're going to do the first 3 rows, and then we're going to move to chart 1. and I'm going to work the first 14 rows with you, because I want to do this little diamond with you and show you this. You've got a description of the abbreviations for the symbols. So the circles are a yarn over. The next one that has got the little leg to the right is a knit two together. The symbol with the little leg to the left is a slip one stitch knitwise, slip second stitch knitwise, and then slide the first needle into the front of both stitches and knit them together. And then this one that has got 3 little legs is a slip one, knit two together, and pass slip stitch over. Now when I get to this stitch, this is when I'll be adding my bead, and that is why I'm going to do the first 13, 14 rows. Every second row or even row is going to be a purl row, except for the 2 garter stitches at the beginning and at the end. You always knit them 2 stitches. Okay, so this is what we're going to be concentrating on after. So, and it says here, I just want to quickly, how to work the charts. Each chart represents half of the shawl, and we worked twice on every row, and this is what I will show you, because when I first started the shawl I didn't read didn't read the pattern properly, and it's only when I went back and read it again properly this time that I realised where I'd gone wrong, and of course with the help of Gina. So let's make a start. So what we want, I'm going to move the pattern out of the way, this pattern at the moment, because I know what I've got to do. So it says to cast on long tail. I never cast on long tail. It's not how I cast on, and I can't. I've tried that many times. It's just not for me. The way I've been casting on that way for as long as I've been knitting, which is over 50 odd years. So I'm going to take my yarn out and I'm going to make a slip knot. There we go. And I always keep a long tail, because that will then give me enough room to weave my ending. And let's make a start, and I hope you can see. So what I do, how I cast on the first stitch, I go, my dad always taught me, in, round, through, off to the side, put the needle off to the side, pick the stitch back up that you've just made, and that makes 2. And then on my next, picking up my next stitches, I go between the first 2 stitches I've made, I go in between them, round, through, over to the side, pick the stitch up, and I've made 3 stitches, and it gives it a nicer edging the way I do it. It's just the way I've always taught. So once you've casted on your 5 stitches, so there you can see we've got 5 stitches, and I'm using the Knit Pro semi-fine, I think it's semi-fine, yeah, sim-fine. So now the first row, it says knit 5, so that is what I'm going to do. So we knit 5 stitches, 1, 2, in, round, through and off, and that's the way I was taught, in, round, through and off, in, round, through and off, and we've got 5 stitches. Now the second row we have to increase 2 stitches, And throughout this shawl we will be increasing on every knit row. So we're going to knit 1 stitch, and the next instruction says KFB, which means knit into the front of the loop but do not remove the stitch, right? So I've still got the stitch still on my left hand needle. Then you knit into the back of the stitch on your left hand needle, and that is how you've made your an extra stitch. You knit this stitch. Now this center stitch, this stitch here is going to be the center throughout your making of this shawl. And then we go knit through the front of the stitch, put your needle behind, knit through the back of the stitch, and there we go, and then knit the last stitch. So I've now got 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now for the third row, for the beginning, we are now going to knit 7 in, round, through and off, in, round, through and off, and just knit the 7 stitches. There we go. So we've completed our cast on, which is the foundation for your shawlette. So I can move that to one side now, and if you see here, I'll lift it up here, I'm onto this row here. So that means I knit 2, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, and then I'll show you what I mean now. So remembering that now we're starting the pattern, so the first 2 stitches and the last 2 stitches on every row is a excuse me, is a knit stitches. So knit 2, knit 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to refer to the pattern, which is a circle, which is a yarn over, and then there's a blank square, which is a knit, and a yarn over. Now I've come to the center stitch, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my little stitch marker, because I know that is my center stitch, and that will always be my center stitch. Let me just get that round, there we go. And then I need to put another stitch marker, and then I need go back to the pattern, remembering that I work the number 1 first every row twice. So we're going to then yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 2, and that is the first row of your chart. So, and each row, it goes up in odd numbers, as you can see. So, and at the end of this chart, when you've completed chart 1, you should have 59 stitches on, which is denoted here, and it's denoted in pink, sorry. So the next row is a purl row, so we knit 2, remembering we always knit the first 2 stitches, and then I knit purl across. So for a purl stitch, you put your needle into the front of the stitch, and in this case it's the yarn over, yarn round needle, yarn round needle, yarn round needle, slip this stitch marker from one needle to the next, yarn round needle, make us purl the stitch, so that denotes that's my middle, and purl next 3 stitches, not next 3, purl to the last 2 stitches, and again I'm knitting these 2 stitches. Now we're going on to row 3 of the chart, and it denotes it by a circle, 3 blank squares and a circle, and I know that I've got to yarn forward, knit 3, yarn forward for the first half, but the first 2 stitches, as always, is knit 2, yarn forward, and I've got to knit 3, so 1, 2, 3, yarn forward, slip my stitch marker onto the needle, knit the center stitch, remembering that that's my center stitch, slip this, yarn forward, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn forward, and I knit the last 2 stitches. There we go. And then what I'll do again is I've got to knit 2 stitches. So we've done rows 1 and 3, and we're on row 4, so knit 2 stitches and just purl across the rest of the stitches until you get to the end. And when I do the purl stitches in future, what I'm going to do is I'm going to on all the purl stitches I'm going to fast forward, but I'm just going to show you again how to do your purl stitch. Even though this is a yarn forward, you put your needle into the front of the stitch, yarn round needle and purl in through the front, yarn round needle, through and off, yarn through, round, off, in, round, through and off, in, round, through and off. Now these 2 stitches are knit 2 stitches as always, and then I'm going to knit them 2. There we go. And as you can see, it's starting to look good, isn't it? So right, we're on to row 5, and this time we've got a yarn forward, knit 5, yarn forward, and don't forget the chart you have to do twice. Okay, so we're going to knit 2, we're going to do a yarn forward, we're going to knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I'm going to slip this over to here, and I'm going to yarn forward, knit my stitch, because that's the center stitch, put my stitch marker on, yarn forward, and then I'm going to knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to yarn forward and knit 2. Now I'm going to do my purl row, and always remember, knit the first 2 stitches, knit the last 2 stitches. Get my yarn out. Right, okay, and I'm going to fast forward. Okay, so now the interesting starts, the pattern starts now. The pattern starts now, so we're going to do this little diamond, okay? So, what we need to do is we need to yarn forward, knit 3, yarn forward, and then there's a little symbol and the legs going to the left, which is this this abbreviation, and I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to do, as always, knit 2, 1, 2, yarn forward, and it tells me I've got to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and I've got to yarn forward, and it's telling me that I need to slip 1 knitways first stitch, slip the second stitch knitways, and then I've got to put, so I've slipped these 2 stitches, I've got to put my needle in and knit them together. There we go. I'll show you again, and then it says I've got to knit 2. So I've got to knit that one, and I've got to knit that one. So I've got the 2 stitches, and then I've got to pop the yarn forward. I'll do it again for you because, again, remembering, knit 1, put that over, yarn forward, and I've got to repeat this row again. So it's knit 3, 1, 2 and 3, yarn forward, and then this is the slip 1 knitway, that's 1, slip 1 knitway, that's 2, put your needle between them 2 stitches, and knit them together, and that is the first row of your pattern. And then you knit 2, yarn forward, knit 2. Now we do our purl row. There we go. So we've done 7. Let me just pull that out. So as you can see, it's coming along, it's starting to take shape now. And now we're on to row 9. So I've got a circle, which is a yarn over, knit 2, and now the symbol is with the leg going to the right, so that's knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, again to the left, slip, slip, knit, knit 2. So it grows really, really quick. I'm just pulling some yarn out of my cake, and I've got this wrapped around now. Let me get this off. There we go. Okay. So again, remembering first 2 stitches, always knit them. Yarn forward, and I've got to knit 2. 1, 2. And then I come to the symbol, and it says I've got to knit 2 together. So knit 2 together. So on my left hand needle, these 2 stitches here, I put my needle through both of them, so they're both together, yarn round needle, knit 2 together, and then it says I need to yarn round needle, and I've got to knit 1. Hold on, yeah, knit 1. Lost my way then. So then I've got to yarn round needle, because that's what it says, and then I've got to repeat slip, slip through the 2 stitches on your right hand needle and knit them. And then it says I've got to knit 2. So I knit 2, and then it says I've got to put a yarn forward. So yarn forward, slip my stitch marker. Always remember you knit this stitch no matter what, because that's your center stitch. Then you slip that through, yarn forward, and we're going back to here now, to this. So I need to do, well, yarn forward, knit 2, 1, 2, and then it says I've got to knit 2 together. So on my right hand needle I put my needle through the 2 stitches. As you can see, there's 2 stitches, yarn round needle, pull through and off. And then it says I've got to put a yarn round needle, knit 1, yarn round needle, and then I've got to do slip, slip, and now my stitches are on my right hand needle. I put my left hand needle through the 2 stitches on the right, yarn round needle, knit 2 together, and then it says I've got to knit 2 stitches. I've got to yarn forward and I've got to knit another 2 stitches. And that is row number 9. It's coming along really nicely. I hope you're with me, and I hope this is being of help to you. And again, I'm going to do my purl, but of course I'm going to knit the first 2 stitches and I'll fast forward. Right, so now we're on row 11. I've only got 4 more rows to do with you, and I hope this is helpful to you. I just wanted to show you how to read the chart, and if you've got any questions, don't forget, you know, email me or Gina, and or leave a comment. So on row 9 we've got to yarn forward, knit 2 together as always, and on row 9 what are we? Yeah, we're on this one, row 11, I beg your pardon, we're on row 11. So I've got to yarn forward, knit 2, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 3, yarn forward, slip, slip, knit, knit 2 together, yarn forward. So that's what we're going to do. So yarn forward, and I've got to knit 2, and then I've got to knit 2 together. So again, I'm going to show you these 2 stitches on your left hand needle. You put through your right hand needle through the both of them, yarn round needle, and put them off, and then I need to yarn round needle, and then I need to knit the center 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then I need to yarn forward, and then I've got to do slip, slip, and then put my left hand needle through and knit them. And then I need to knit 2, yarn round needle, slip my stitch marker on, always knitting the center stitch, yarn round needle, and then I repeat that row again. So it's knit 2, knit 2 together, yarn round needle, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn round needle, slip, slip, and then knit them as one stitch, and you've got 1 stitch. There we go. And then I've got to knit 2 stitches, 1, 2, yarn forward, and then knit the last 2 stitches. and then we come to row 12. Yep, row 12. Now the last row that I'm going to go through with you is row 13. So I'll just knit these 2 stitches as always. I nearly made a mistake there, and it's quite easy to do. And I'll see you at the beginning of the row 13. There we go. So you've got 2 little diamonds either side of your centre point. So for this row 13, I've got to yarn forward, knit 5, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, yarn forward. But on this stitch here, when I've done it, I'm going to be adding a purl. Whoops, I only want 1. Oh, I want 2 because I've got 2 diamonds. So I've just taken 2 out. I've got my crochet hook. Now this is a millwood and it says it's a 1.5, but I know that it will go through my, oh no, it'll go through my hook. So just put them to one side. How come I've got 3? Can't count. Okay, so let's the fun begin. So we're going to on the last row for you now. So knit 2 stitches, then it says yarn forward, and I have to knit 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, so 2, 4, 5, and I'm coming to these 3 stitches here, and this is where I'm going to slip 1, knit 2 together, and the stitch that I slipped I'm going to pass it over. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip this stitch onto my crochet hook. I'm going to put my stitch on, and it's going to hold on, no, I've done it wrong. Put your purl on, your bead, then take the stitch which you've just done and bring it through. Then you put this stitch back onto this stitch, and there is the bead. So I'll show you again. And now I've got to finish this, so I need to yarn forward, and I've got to knit another 5 to the center. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, slip me stitch marker on, knit the center stitch as always, slip my stitch marker, yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip 1 stitch up from the left to the right, you don't knit it. Then the next 2 stitches you knit together, you pass this stitch, the slip stitch over, and then you pick your bead up, she says. Oh, it won't. Why won't it go through that stitch now? That. Oh dear. Won't go through. Oh, there we go. It won't go through that, but it'll go through this one. ridiculous. Okay, so you put your bead on your hook. The stitch that you've just done, knit 2 together, slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitch over. No, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. So now we're going to drop this needle and you're going to feed the yarn through and pop it back on, because you don't need to do anything else because you've knitted it. And that's adding the bead. I'll show you again how to add bead. So I'm just going to knit this stitch. Oh, hold on. Knit 5. I've not done the yarn. Oh, gosh. I've made a mistake. So all I'm going to do is take my bead off and put my stitches back on, because I forgot to do my yarn over. I'm sure I did, but because of the bead. So yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, knit 2 together and pass the slip stitch over. Put your bead on your crochet hook, drop the ladle and then thread, sorry, oh dear gosh, I'm having a malfunction, guys. It's so easy to do, and I'm going to keep this in because I want to show you how easy it is to do. Look at number 1, went in no problem, but just bear with it. So slip the stitch, knit 2 together, and pass the slip stitch over. Now I want to get the bead onto this stitch what I've just done, so I'm dropping this needle, I've got my bead on, I'm going to slip that on, why won't it work now? There we go, there we go. Okay, so I can put that back on there and just tighten it up a bit, and that's the bead on. Now I've got to yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 2. And I'm going to go show you this purl row. Instead of going fast forward it, I'm going to show you. So you knit your first 2 stitches, just showing you how to, and it's purling. So I'm just going to purl up to the bead where it is, and it'll just show you you can still purl the stitch with the bead on. So I'm up to the bead, and see how simple it is. And just purl right the way across. You don't need to do any pattern at all on a purl row, it's just a purl. I don't know how I've done that. There we go. Just purl your stitch, all your stitches, taking your time, there's no rush. Again, I'm coming to the bead, and it's very simple. Just take your time, there's no, you know, and if you make a mistake, just you know, take it back to where you've made your mistake, and then knit 2. And that, guys, is the first part of chart 1. I wanted to go through the chart with you. I'm going to spread it out, and as you can see, the bead sits, the beads, I'll leave this out of the way because I don't need that, and as you can see, it sits really nicely on. I hope this tutorial has helped you. Any questions at all, big or small, email us. There's Gina at Knitting TurnPike and myself, and in the description box of all the hashtags Simpson TurnPike Cal are our email addresses. You can contact us anytime and we will get back to you. And if the question you ask we feel would be better doing a tutorial for it, we will. If we can't explain it to you verbally or written. And please don't hesitate to contact Gina and I. We want everybody to enjoy this Cal. We really do. I mean, we're so excited, and we're excited to see what you do and take part. And I'm really liking the blue with the pearls. What do you think of the blue with the pearls? I think it looks nice. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. But more importantly, guys, be kind to you, and please enjoy this Cal. Bye-bye for now.